Every time I face the waves, I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to fear the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't want to fear the storm. I don't want to fear the storm. Peace be still.
Chapter 14, verse 27, Jesus says, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give to you. Not as the world gives do I give to you. Let not your heart be troubled, neither let it be afraid." And so here Jesus says he wants to give us peace, but it is not as the world gives it. It's not peace of the world. And we live in a world where we are striving for peace. We long for peace. The whole world longs for peace. But Jesus gives a different peace. This is a different kind of peace that we're going to look at. Now, before I go into peace, I kind of want to look at the opposite of peace, which is chaos and trouble and strife. Now, chaos did not start in the year 2020. It didn't start with us. It did not start with the situations that we are in. Chaos has been happening from the very beginning. And if we even look, Genesis 1, the earth was without form and void, and darkness covered the earth. It sounds dismal. And the word for without form actually means empty, confusion, and chaos. So in the very beginning, there was chaos, there was darkness, there was emptiness, there was confusion. But what does it say? The Spirit of the Lord hovered. The Spirit moved in that chaos. It moved, and then the voice of God spoke, and he created. He created the world. He created what was good. All the good things God brought about. He worked, he moved, hovered around that chaos, and he worked. And this is the God that we serve. He wants to move and work in the chaos. In the midst of the chaos that we are in, he wants to create something beautiful. And as we see throughout the Bible, it's during the times of chaos that the Lord really works. As you follow the children of Israel, from their escape from Egypt. It was the times when it was dire, when they were stuck between the mountains and the sea. And what did God do? He parted the sea as their enemies were chasing them. When they thought there was no hope, God worked. God moved. He made something happen. We think in the New Testament about Jesus, his miracles. He worked miracles when there was hopelessness, when there was confusion, when there was chaos around. You think of Jairus' daughter that he raised from the dead. You think of the man with the withered hand and, all of these miracles. Lazarus, if we remember that story of Lazarus, he didn't just wait until he died. He waited 3 days. He was dead in the grave. 3 days. He waited until it was absolutely impossible for him to work in amongst that chaos, and he raised him from the dead. So there's always been chaos, and there is an author of confusion. It's not God, but it is the enemy. We have an enemy that causes that chaos, because we know, the devil in the throne room of God, he initially said, I want the power. And he took a third of the angels, didn't he? And he brought them down because he didn't want to trust in God. He wanted to trust in himself. And his goal is to distract you from trusting in God as well. He wants to bring you down. He wants to take away your trust by creating that chaos, by creating all the chaos. After God created the world, what happened? The enemy came along and brought, that snake into Eve and brought chaos back into the world. The enemy is there to bring chaos. And chaos is not just random. These things that happen in your life, it's not just random always. The enemy is there. He's got a specific purpose: to kill, steal, and destroy. He is that thief that wants to come. He wants to steal your joy. He wants to kill your peace, and he wants to destroy your faith. This is what he is. We know 1 Peter, it says that the enemy is a roaring lion who is prowling around, seeking who he wants to devour. He has a purpose, and that's to create the chaos in your life. So when you find all this chaos, we get confused, but we need to think, this is the enemy. It's an attack from the enemy, and it's designed against you. It's not just something that's random. The name, the devil, actually means to divide. That's what his name means. And interestingly enough, the word anxiety, the Greek word perenam, don't know if that's how you say it, but that's how I said it. The root word comes from to divide, interestingly enough. And anxiety and worry does exactly that. It divides our mind. It divides our emotions. It can divide us with all this worry, all this anxiety, the uncertainty. Then when things feel out of control, we feel divided. Our minds and our emotions, our hearts. I think of Martha. When Mary and Martha were there, Mary was worshiping, and what was Martha doing when she rebuked Jesus? And Jesus said to her, you are anxious and worried. You are anxious and concerned and troubled. She was divided because her concerns was on so many other things. Mary had chosen the good part. Her mind was focused on Jesus. But Martha was divided. She had other things in her mind, things that had to be done a certain way, things that had to be done in a certain fashion, done to a certain time frame. And this is where a lot of our anxieties and concerns and worries come from. When we put all of these things upon ourselves, it has to be done a particular way. You think of Martha, it was just, a dinner party. That's all it was. And she was panicking and divided and telling Jesus off and her sister off over a dinner party. Sometimes it's not the big things that give us worry and anxiety. Sometimes it can be those small things, losing your keys, or kids screaming in the back of your car, or a burnt dinner, a lost text, or just anything. These little things can cause that anxiety and that worry in our lives. It divides us. It's not always the big stuff. And I recently read, you may have read it too, a nice little saying. And it said, ships don't sink because of the water around them. Ships sink because of the water that gets in them. Don't let what's happening around you get inside you and weigh you down. And I like that picture. It's the water that gets inside that weighs us down, that causes that anxiety, that fear, and causes us to sink. It's what gets inside. We have to make sure that Jesus is ruling inside, that he's ruling our hearts. Colossians 3:15 says, let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, to which you are called in one body. Let the peace of Jesus rule in us. And when Jesus is ruling in us, the circumstances are not going to consume us. Jesus is consuming us. There's no room for those circumstances. They have to leave. They have to stay on the outside. Isaiah 57, verse 20. I think it's that one. Oh, there we go. I like this verse. It says, but the wicked are like the troubled sea when it cannot rest, whose waters cast upon mire and dirt, cast up mire and dirt. There is no peace, says my God, for the wicked. And this is a picture of the sea. It's not at rest. It's tossing and turning, and it's bringing up the mire, the dirt, this constant moving tides. It's just churning around dirt and muck and mire and all of that gross stuff that's just been churning around in the sea. There's no rest. There's no peace. And there's that picture of something without any peace. And we see it around us. We see it in the world. We can see it internationally in relationships. We see it nationally in our own country. We can see it in our homes, in our businesses, in our workplaces. But we can also see it in our hearts as well. That tossing of the waves that's churning things up, just churning it over and over, dredging up the mire and the dirt that's going around and around. I had a friend that once always thought that her mind was like a ping pong ball that just, pings around in her head. And I thought, that's great, because my mind, sometimes I want to sit and concentrate, and then my mind's like ping, 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 ping. But as I look at that, I think, you know what, it is like a ping pong ball, but sometimes I am the squash player. I have got a racket in my hand, and I am hitting that ball, and I am making it go all over the place, and I'm chasing it around, and I'm hitting it. And all of these thoughts, I'm encouraging them. I'm mulling them over. I'm chasing them. But you know what? It's exhausting. It's tiring. And you have like this mental squash game in your mind. Life's exhausting living like that. There's no rest. There's no rest at all like that. We have no peace. Isaiah 26:3 says, I will keep him in perfect peace whose mind is fixed on me, whose mind is stayed. It's not that ping pong ball that's flying around. It's stayed. It's fixed. We have to grab that ball. How to fix it. It's got to be stayed. Like nail it to the ground or nail it to the cross. Grab that thought. Make it stay. Don't hit it around. Don't constantly churn things over. Fixed, stayed, still. That's the vision of peace. That's what it is. It's being fixed and making sure our minds are fixed. And then what does it say? For those who trust in me. At the end of that, those who trust. Now that's the key. That's the key to peace. Is the trust. That's really where it all comes from. It's the biggie, isn't it? If we want peace, we need to learn to trust. And we're not going to get peace until we realize that God's got it. He's got this situation. He's in control. And we have to really realize that. We have to trust in that. Our problem is we worry so much. And I want to just spend a little time talking about worry because we love to do it. We really do. Some of us are addicted to worry. But sometimes the way our minds work, the way my minds work about worry, is a few things. Sometimes we think worry equals caring about a situation. That if we care about the situation, we should be worrying about it. And if we're worrying about it, it means we care about that situation. The other thing about worry is we also think it's proportional to the size of the problem. So if it's a big problem, we have to worry big time. You know, we've got to make sure that we're worrying big if the problem is big. The other thing sometimes about worry is sometimes we think we're going to move God by worrying. I mean, why bother praying when you can worry? You can just worry and worry and worry, and maybe God is going to pay attention because you're worrying, and you're anxious, and you're fearful, and you're crying out. It's kind of that picture, you know, when your child is having a tantrum. You're going to give it attention. You're going to take it out. You're going to deal with it. And sometimes we think God's going to do that. If I have a tantrum, God's going to sort it out. God doesn't work that way. He doesn't mind. If you have a tantrum, that's you. He's going to sort it out when he's ready. Not when you've worried enough about it. Not when you're anxious enough about it. He's going to sort it out when he's ready. Because what he wants to do is he wants to sort you out, mostly. That's his purpose. The other thing about worry that we have to really understand is that we are commanded not to do it. It's a commandment. So here we think that worrying equals caring. Well, actually, worrying equals disobedience. That's what it does. If you're worrying about something, it doesn't just mean you care, it means you're disobeying God. And we don't want to keep that on us as well. Sometimes we think, oh no, I'm worrying, and now I'm being disobedient. Okay, stop worrying. Just stop the worrying. You know, we don't have to feel guilty now that we're worrying and we're being disobedient. Now we just let it go. We need to stop that worrying. Our worry does not make it any more urgent. It's not going to change anything. Matthew 6:27. You remember Jesus? When he's talking, he says, can you add to your stature by worrying? Can you add to your height? One translation said, can you add an hour of span of life or an hour of, to your life? Can you add that by worrying? No, we're probably going to take it away because worrying has ill effects on your health. So it's probably going to decline. You're not adding anything. You're probably just taking away. You're taking away your peace. You're taking away your health. You're taking away your mind. You're taking all those. You're not adding anything. And God is not going to be moved by our worry. It doesn't make him move any more to it. God's desire is that we have peace. So the peace of God, it originates at the cross, doesn't it? That's where it comes from. Romans 5:1. He says, therefore, having been justified by faith, we have peace with God through our Lord Jesus Christ. It's through the cross. In Ephesians 2:14-16, he says, for he himself is our peace, whom has made both one and has broken down the middle wall of separation, having abolished in his flesh the enmity, that is, the law of commandments contained in his ordinances, so as to create in himself one new man from the two, thus making peace. He breaks down that wall of separation, that division. He breaks it down. He makes us one. He makes us whole. He fixes us. This is what he does at the cross. We have the peace of God because of the cross. John 16:33 says, "These things I have spoken to you, that in me you may have peace. In the world you will have trouble, but be of good cheer. I have overcome the world." So you will have trouble. You can bank on that. You're going to have trouble. As I said, there was chaos from the beginning. You're going to have chaos in your life. There's two things that are for certain. You're going to have trouble. There's going to be chaos. And the other thing that's for certain, which we have a hard time grasping, is that Jesus overcame the world. He is the victor. He has the victory. He wins in the end, and we forget that. And this is where we lose our peace. He says, be of good cheer. This is where we have to place our trust, knowing that it's in him. It's all in him. Peace isn't the absence of war. It's not just having peaceful circumstances all around us. It's that peace that passes understanding. It's a spiritual peace. It's not as the world thinks it is, like Jesus says. It's the peace that he gives us. William Barclay, he talks about the meaning of peace. And he says that this word means not just freedom from trouble, but everything that makes for man's highest good. Here it means tranquility of heart, which derives from the all-pervading consciousness that our times are in his hands. And I love that. It's not a freedom from trouble. It's our highest good. It's the tranquility of heart, which comes from the all-pervading, which is kind of like this spreading through, this knowing that our times are in his hands spreads through all areas of our life. It affects our whole being, knowing that he is in control, that he has control in all of our times. We put that trust in him. We can't control our outward circumstances. That's not peace. We often try to pursue peace by changing the circumstances around us, by fixing something, somebody, some situation. We try to do that to get peace, but that is not our ultimate peace. It's just a temporal peace. And if we focus on trying to control our outward situation, it's just going to create more anxiety because we never really win. We become disheartened, plus we become even more controlling. It just makes us into a controlling person. That's all we become. But what we need to do is focus on having that peace in our heart. Focus that our hearts are right with the Lord, are fixed. And when we focus on that peace, the outward circumstances will become that reflection. And we're going to be able to bear the situation, that the peace will be able to infuse from our lives into the situation. It's sort of, this is the fruit, the piece of fruit that goes to other people's lives. You know when you're around a peaceful person who's calm, who's under control, who's, not flapping or anything. You've been around them. You've been around people that are flapping, that are panicking, that are anxious. It's never comfortable to be around them. I think of a time when my in-laws were staying with us and we spilled a big bottle of paint on the floor in our kitchen with this gorgeous wood floor. We'd moved into the house and gorgeous wood floor, a whole bottle of paint just went all the way over it. And of course, Bryce kind of panics a little bit. My father-in-law, he's just always so calm, nothing ever phases him. Nothing's too much trouble. He's just wonderful. And he just, oh, never mind. Let's just clear it up. It's okay. And where, Bryce and I were like, a floor, are amazing. No. We wanted to hit the roof and scream. I don't even know who did it. I don't remember anymore. But what I remember was Steve's peace in that whole, hey, it's okay. Let's just clear it up. And it reflected and infused into the whole situation. It's like, that's okay. It's just paint. We got it up. It's no big deal. And it's that peace that we have that can infuse. It may not completely change. We had to get up and mop up the floor, the peace doesn't snap and your situation's changed. We might have to do something and bear the situation, but the peace will give us comfort. That it's not that ship that's been weighed down by the water, it's just floating on the water. And I think of, which is a bit of a silly analogy, and some of you may not have seen this movie, but whenever I think of the word inner peace, I always think of Kung Fu Panda. I don't know, now some of you may not have seen it, but I do find it funny. And yes, it is steeped in Eastern religion, so it's not the best example. However, I do find the panda, who's called Po, his journey to peace quite interesting. And in the beginning, he's told he has to find this peace. And it's like, huh, what? Peace? Whatever. I kind of got it, and he's kind of this bumbling, and I think his idea of sitting, getting peace, like, inner peace, inner peace, inner peace, inner peace. He didn't get it that way. That's not the way he got it, and he was slightly confused about the whole thing. But it's funny, by the end of the movie, he gets the inner peace. But he's in the middle of the war when he finds it. And he's actually on the losing side of this war. He's in the middle of it's an ocean, but he's off the shore, and the enemy's attacking him, and they've blown his boat to bits, and his friends are gone, and he's done. He's absolutely done, and he kind of sits, and he just completely gives up, and he's lost, and he knows he's lost. And it's at that moment that he finds that inner peace, and he actually gains victory over the situation. I mean, he grabs the balls and throws it back at them, which is completely far-fetched, and that's probably not going to happen in your life. You're not going to grab cannonballs and throw them. But it's this wonderful picture of when he finally just gave up. He gave up control. He got that peace. He actually became victorious in the situation. The cannons and the fires that was coming towards him had no effect on him. And I love that image that when we're in the peace of God, the weapons that are formed against us will not prosper. They don't have any effect on us. It's not going to stop the attacks. The attacks are still going to come, but you're going to be able to bear it. You can bear those attacks. You're not going to sink underneath it. And you may even infuse peace into that situation as well, for others to see your calm, your peace that's going through into that situation. So God, he wants to give us that peace. From the very beginning, we've had chaos. There's always been chaos. But God moves, God speaks, and God creates. He has a purpose. The enemy knows God has a purpose for you. The enemy is afraid of what you could do in the Lord, and that's why he tries to stop you. That's why all these assaults come at you, because the enemy fears what you could do in the Lord. And when we succumb to those and we go back into the chaos, we then withdraw from the purpose of God. But we need to move with the Spirit. As the Lord moves, we move with him. We know that the enemy cannot prosper. The weapons formed against us, it won't work. It will not prosper. So instead of being crippled by that chaos and letting it overcome us, we need to allow the Spirit room to move in our lives, to fix our minds on him, to get that peace, allow him to fix us, fix our hearts, fix our emotions, so that he can fulfill his purpose in you. And I want to leave you with Psalm 122, verse 7 and 8. It says, "Peace be within your walls, prosperity within your palaces. For the sake of my brethren and companions, I will now say, peace be within you." And I love that, because peace be within your walls. Isn't that what every woman wants? Peace in her home, in those walls. We just desire it. We can be really successful outside the home, but when we come inside and there's chaos and confusion, there's turmoil in us too. It's just something in a woman. We want to come home to peace. Not just, candles lit in a clean room. That's always nice. But peaceful relationships as well. Our children, our parents, our siblings. We want that peaceful relationship. We want prosperity as well in our families. Maybe not just money, but spiritual prosperity. We want to see that. That's a desire of every woman. And that's what we pursue oftentimes, this peace in our families, peace in our relationship, peace around us. And yet we forget verse 8. It says, "For the sake of my brethren and companions, I now say, peace be within you." So if we want there to be peace in our homes, we want prosperity, it has to start with us. It's got to start in our hearts and then allow that to infuse into our homes to create that peaceful environment. When it starts with us, we can't go around controlling everybody else and making sure they're peaceful if we are not. We have to start and be that peace and harbor the peace of God. Fix our minds on him. Train our minds to be fixed in order to walk in that peace. So Heidi's going to come up and she's going to lead us in a song. And I want you can sing the song with your masks on, but think about the words and really meditate on those words. Sometimes I have to be silent and read the words, but the words are very good. Allow them to sink into your hearts. And if there's anything you just need to let go of, you need to bring it before the Lord, then just take the time to meditate and to lay it down as we sing the song together. Father, I thank you. Lord, I thank you that you want to bring us peace. Lord, that it is your desire we be at peace with you, that we be at peace with each other, and that our hearts are at peace. Lord, I pray for each one of us, for these ladies here, Lord, that you would calm their hearts, calm our minds. Let us grab those thoughts that are bouncing around, Lord, and let us fix them. May they stay upon you. May we think of your glory and your goodness, Lord. And may we be open to receive your peace and allow that to infuse through our lives, to our families, to our friends, to our colleagues at work, Lord. May your peace shine through us. We ask in your name. Amen.
I don't want to be afraid every time I face the waves. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to be afraid. I don't want to fear the storm just because I hear it roar. I don't want to fear the storm. I don't want to fear the storm. Peace be still, say the word and I will. Set Peace be still. Say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace be still. Say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in this deep with you. Peace be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can't see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Peace over me. Peace, peace over me. Peace be still. You are here, so it is well. Even when my eyes can see, I will trust the voice that speaks. Yeah, Lord, that's our prayer. Lord, that when we can't see, that we would hear your voice. Lord, I just pray for that anxiety that drags us down. I pray for those worries that we just need to have in our minds all the time about everything. Lord, I just pray that this evening we'd be able to lay them at your feet and that we would be able to feel that peace that passes every understanding, Lord. The next time we're in that situation and everyone around us is panicking and we're worrying right in the middle, because that's what we do. Lord, I just pray that you would pour peace over us and we'd actually say, I don't know why I'm peaceful, but I know it's because God is with me. Thank you, Lord. Thank you that this is true and it's from your word. In Jesus' name. Be still, say the word and I will set my feet upon the sea till I'm dancing in the deep. Peace